I've just been to India, and you really realise when you're in India just how wonderful a place to live in Brisbane is. Thinking about my original idea of what a planner was going to do, I don't think I ever really knew. I've really enjoyed my career. I've got a big birthday coming up at Christmas, and I would have to say I'm towards the end of my career now. But I've always said I've loved being a planner because it's full of good people. I've had to think about this. There's probably many moments, but the one that always comes to mind when I think about this is I worked for the state government for 13 years during the 90s and early 2000s. And that was while I had small children. And I think, like most working mothers at that time, we all wanted to do our job and go home. We didn't want a lot of responsibility. I do think, fortunately, that has changed, that young mothers now have more support than we did in those days. But I worked in the South East Queensland Planning Services team with Colin Cassidy as the manager, and he really encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone, to take on more responsibility. I think if it weren't for that and the fact that Colin was an excellent mentor in that space, I may have lost interest in the work I was doing and given it away. But instead I actually found a pathway that suited me and my lifestyle and my kids, and still managed to stay in the workforce. I would say that that experience was defining for me. I went on to manage a team within that department. At the time I job shared with Sue McCafferty, and we had a very successful job share for 7 years, which I think ticked a lot of boxes for both of us. A lot of people would have said you can't job share if you're managing people, but we did show it could work. I think I got most of my inspiration from my colleagues and contemporaries that I worked with. And in that I would have to say the two women I went to university with were Sandy Viger and Wendy Chadwick, the late Wendy Chadwick. In my early career I was really amazed at the kind of goals they were kicking, because nothing stopped them. In the planning space I've really been inspired by the work of Jenny Rowan, and I'm not just saying that because she's the president of Women in Planning. She's a good friend, but I've learned a lot from her, even though she's a fair bit younger than me, I have to say, Jenny. She is a very professional operator, and I've always been inspired by watching her solve planning problems. I have to say also that Sue McCafferty is a big model to me about how to behave professionally in the workplace and how to use professional judgment. When we job shared, she was a voice of reason and showed me how to think about things in a way that was logical, and we ultimately worked out to be a good team together. In my generation, mothers tended to limit their career options by saying no to things. No, I can't do that. No, I'm not available for that. No, I don't have enough support to do that. But I'm hoping that now we're not in that situation, that women are more free to say yes to things. I would also say to my younger self, work on eliminating the worst impacts of self-doubt. We've all got self-doubt, and some of us are more afflicted by it than others, but I'm here to say that by the time you get some way into your career, you can be conscious that your head is telling you that you're wrong or that you're incompetent, but in fact you're not. You pick up a lot of experience quickly in this business, and you should trust yourself that if you don't know, you can find out. Trust yourself and have confidence in your ability.